Okay, here's the first tip you need to know about splicing. Let's say we're going to splice. This is one piece. I've just cut it down the middle. I haven't separated it yet, but I'm about to. Let's say we want to splice this piece of film with this piece of film, and this came off the same roll. It's okay to go ahead and cut this in half. And let's say we want to splice it together so it'll be perfect. What we want to do is we want to slightly overlap the film like that. I generally like to squeegee, the bottom and the top half to anchor or secure the film, top and bottom. Okay, I got them anchored. And then that's when I want to take my sharp oval blade. If there's a defroster line here that I'm trying to splice on, I want to cut it right on the money, and there's some tricks to that. I want to point out that some people, like me, I like to cut on the outside, and I like to have somebody with a light or have a bright light on the inside, and I like to cut on the outside. Some people like to do this step on the inside after they pull the release liner. But the first thing you do is you discard the top piece, and then you carefully pull back this other piece and gently work out the film, and these two pieces will butt up identical. Now, if you're good enough and smooth enough to get this on a defroster line, you can absolutely hide that splice. I don't know if you can see that from here. It's almost undetectable. It is so smooth. And that's the way to splice. And the trick is to get it on a line, whether you like to cut on the outside and then transfer it to the inside like me, or transfer both pieces to the inside, overlap the defroster line, and with a steady hand just move right across the line. Maybe try not to pick up the knife as much as you have to. If you have to pick it up, put it back in, try to get it right where you started and continue going on. Don't slip on the defroster lines. You will make a mess and you can't correct that. That's why I'm not good at the inside. I slip too much. I like to do it on the outside because I have more control. Here's another tip. If you want to take a 20-inch roll instead of a larger roll like a 36 or a 40, and you want to roll this film out across the top of the glass, if you want to splice it without having some problems, and I'll explain in a second, you better roll the film the opposite way, back this way to do the bottom. Because what's happening here on a piece of film is this die is more accurate vertical and not very accurate going across. You will not, if you try to, how do I say this? If you try to splice these films like I just showed you, you've got to do it where you've got to splice this edge with this edge. You can't splice this edge with this edge. For example, if we were going to splice this and we were going to have the color even, we would have to use this edge with this edge, okay? And do the same process. This would work, this would match. If we tried to splice it using this, doing it this way, this would not look the same. The die is going to be more concentrated in the middle, and it's usually going to be less concentrated on the sides, or vice versa, but it never matches all the way through. That's why you have to splice like edge with like edge. Do not cross these edges up, or they will look like, there will be an illusion like there's two different shades. This is also true in flat glass work as well. Just for the fun of it, I'm going to see if this does look funny. Maybe you can pick it up on the camera. Very hard to tell, but this looks a little darker. I don't know if the camera can pick it up than this, even though these are the same films, because there is a different level of dye on this edge than there was on this edge of the film. These edges don't match. You'll usually find or run into problems with this. I want to show you a close-up of how this seam looks. They're very hard to see. I don't know if you can see that seam or not. It's actually right there, touching it with my finger. Let me show you macro mode on this camera, see if I can get closer up to it. There it is. You can see it just barely.